If you're looking to get up to speed fast, maybe you're in urban planning, maybe you're just fascinated by municipal tech, then this is the deep dive for you. Today, we are zeroing in on Montreal. And look, everyone knows it's a global capital for AI research. ELA, Google Brain, all the big names.
Right.
But we aren't talking about the labs. We're talking about AI hitting the greasy streets.
And that's the essential shift, isn't it? Our focus is on the practical, the utilitarian use of AI in actually managing the city.
Exactly.
It's this move from a city that just creates AI to one that's actively being managed by it. The sources we've pulled together, this dossier Montreal 2.0, really lays it all out.
Yeah, our whole mission here is to get past the headlines and see how this tech has moved from the academic papers right into the actual, concrete infrastructure. It's about solving those grinding everyday problems.
And this isn't science fiction. A lot of this stuff is, well, it's basically invisible. It's designed to fix the classic city nightmares. Potholes, traffic, leaking water mains.
So the big question we want you to be thinking about is, how do these small-sounding tech shifts really impact your daily life? And, maybe more importantly, your wallet.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with what has to be the most hated part of city infrastructure failure. The annual hunt for potholes.
The annual tradition, yes. But AI is starting to dismantle it. City vehicles, I'm talking regular municipal trucks, inspection vans, especially in places like Saint Laurent and downtown, they're now being equipped with cameras and sensors.
So they're driving around snapping pictures.
It's more than that. The AI uses computer vision to analyze those images in real time. It's not just recording the road. It's actively looking for the tiny little surface cracks, the weaknesses in the asphalt before they become car-swallowing potholes.
Okay, so that's a total change from the old way, which was basically reactive. You hit a pothole, you get angry, you call 311, and then you wait.
Precisely. This is predictive. That's the key. The AI knows where the microcracks are. It knows how quickly they're getting worse, so the city can optimize the routes for the patching crews.
They fix the problem before it's a huge problem.
And that's not a small improvement. The data suggests this kind of preventative work can cut emergency repair costs by, 20 to 30%?
20 to 30, that's a massive operational saving.
Year over year.
Okay, so if the roads are getting better, the next logical headache is getting around on them. Let's talk mobility.
Yeah.
Traffic.
Right, and that falls to the Urban Mobility Management Center, the CGMU. They are feeding all this real-time traffic camera data into some pretty advanced algorithms.
But how is that different from, say, 10 years ago? We've had traffic cameras for ages.
The difference is the speed and the granularity. Old systems were just preset timers, or a human had to manually intervene. Now these algorithms can spot a bottleneck from an accident instantly.
And start changing things.
And dynamically adjust the traffic light timing on major arteries to keep things flowing. It's a constant stream of micro adjustments.
I also saw they're running pilot projects to prioritize public transit.
Yes, they're testing smart traffic lights that can sort of talk to an approaching STM bus or an ambulance and give it a green light automatically. The idea is to make transit times shorter and much more reliable.
Okay, from the streets down to the pipes. Let's talk about something I think is maybe the most critical but totally silent achievement. Water management.
Water is the absolute backbone of a city, and Montreal has historically really struggled here.
I'll say.
So what the city is doing is using these acoustic sensors combined with AI to literally listen to the underground water network.
Listen. What are they listening for?
They're listening for the sound signature. The algorithm is trained to know the difference between the normal sound of water flowing through a pipe and the very distinct, specific hiss of water escaping from a crack. A leak.
And they can pinpoint it that way.
With incredible accuracy.
So what was the cost of not being able to do that?
The numbers are just staggering. Montreal was losing almost 30% of its treated drinking water to leaks.
30%.
30. Water that was cleaned, pressurized, and then just gone into the ground. So being able to find those leaks early and send out a surgical repair team saves tens of millions of dollars every year. That is pure fiscal efficiency.
So all this tech is working away in the background. How does it change the way you, the citizen, actually talk to City Hall? Let's get into the 311 service.
This is all about speed. The main way people make requests now is through the mobile app.
The Montreal Services Au Citoyen app, yeah.
And it gets thousands of requests a day. When you hit send on a complaint, the AI immediately gets to work.
What's it doing?
It's using what's called semantic analysis. It doesn't just look for keywords. It actually reads your request for context. It understands pothole and graffiti and Saint Laurent, and then automatically routes your ticket to the exact right person, the correct borough foreman.
So if a human clerk used to take a few hours to sort through all that.
The processing delay is cut from hours down to just a few minutes. Action gets started almost instantly.
But is there a risk there? If the AI misreads something nuanced, could a request just get lost in a bureaucratic black hole?
That is the balance they have to strike. And it's something the Montreal Declaration for a Responsible AI really focuses on. You need automation, but you also need that human feedback loop to catch the errors.
Right. And speaking of challenges, as services get more digital, you run into the problem of the digital divide.
A huge issue. If the app becomes the default, you risk leaving people behind. Seniors, people with low digital literacy, it's a major equity concern.
So what are they doing to stop that from happening?
Well, they've been very intentional about keeping the full human-staffed telephone service at 311. So automation is there for efficiency, but it doesn't mean they're just getting rid of the old phone lines. It's about access for everyone.
And what about bias in the algorithms? If the AI is deciding where to send repair crews, how do you make sure it doesn't just favor wealthy neighborhoods that complain more often?
That is probably the biggest challenge in civic data science. If your historical data is skewed because one neighborhood calls 311 all the time, the AI could learn the wrong lesson.
So it would think that area has more problems.
Exactly. So they have to actively work to clean those biases out. The focus has to be on prioritizing work based on objective need. The actual data from the road sensors, not just who shouts the loudest.
Okay, we've covered the physical and social side. Let's connect all of this back to your wallet. How do these city improvements affect property values and taxes? This smart premium idea.
It's really an evolution of that old real estate mantra. It was location, location, location. Now you have to add accessibility and fluidity.
People will pay for less time stuck in traffic.
Absolutely. Neighborhoods that get these AI-synced traffic lights, the ones cutting peak hour travel by, say, 15 to 20%, they just become more attractive overnight. The sources are pretty clear on this. A 10-minute cut in your commute can correlate to a 2 to 5% bump in your home's value.
Hold on, 2 to 5%, that's a huge multiplier. For a $500,000 home, a 2% increase from better traffic flow is $10,000.
Exactly. And it makes those peripheral sectors, like parts of the East End or Lachine, way more competitive. The AI has effectively moved them 10 minutes closer to downtown.
This must have a huge impact on developers and housing supply, too. We all know getting permits is a nightmare.
The permit bottleneck, yes. It could easily take 18 months, sometimes more, to get a complex plan approved. And for a developer, that wait time is just money burning.
So how does AI speed that up?
They're testing AI solutions for permit pre-analysis. The system can take an architectural plan and instantly check it against thousands of pages of zoning and building codes. It spots the errors right away.
And that takes the timeline from 18 months down
to as little as 6 months.
That's a game changer. That has to stimulate new housing supply.
It absolutely does. And this all feeds into another concept, the digital twin. Montreal is building a full 3D virtual model of the city.
So it's more than a fancy map, it's a simulation.
Precisely. A developer can plug their proposed building into this digital twin and see its exact impact. How it affects sunlight in the park next door, how it changes wind patterns, the views, all before they dig a single hole.
Which I imagine leads to a lot less opposition from citizens, not in my backyard.
It leads to better buildings, less friction, and ultimately a higher quality, more sustainable real estate stock.
So all these savings on water, on potholes, on permits, they have to lead to the big, invisible issue for homeowners, controlling property taxes.
It functions as a fiscal stabilization tool. The biggest line item in any city budget is usually infrastructure repair. By doing preventative, targeted fixes, the city spends way less on those huge, chaotic, catastrophic emergencies.
Like a massive water main break that shuts down downtown for a week.
Exactly. Less unpredictable spending stabilizes the budget, and that reduces the pressure to keep raising property taxes year after year. The long-term dividend isn't just convenience, it's financial stability.
Now let's pivot and follow the money. This technology can't be cheap. Where is the funding coming from?
It's a major capital investment, for sure, but it's viewed as an investment with a very clear return on investment.
Okay, so break down the funding for us.
The first big catalyst was back in 2019. The city won $50 million from Infrastructure Canada's Smart Cities Challenge. That money was really targeted at mobility and food access, and it helps fund things like the Urban Innovation Lab.
And what about the city's own long-term commitment?
If you look at the 10-year Capital Works program, the PDI, they've earmarked about $685 million for IT and tech solutions over the next decade.
That's a huge number. How much of that is actually going to AI and predictive systems?
So within that big IT envelope, analysts figure that about 15 to 20%, so somewhere between $100 and $130 million, is directly for this kind of business intelligence and predictive asset management.
And the water project alone is a big piece of that, right?
It is. The Smart Aqueduct project with the acoustic probes and smart meters, that's an investment of over $30 million. But you have to weigh that against the cost of losing nearly a third of your drinking water.
And finally, we have to talk about Montreal's unique ecosystem.
Absolutely. The city is a natural living lab. It's got this incredible density of AI, talent scale AI, Ivado, Mila, the universities.
Which means the city doesn't have to invent everything from scratch.
That's the key financial advantage. The city partners with these groups. It reduces direct R&D costs for taxpayers because these academic and private partners are running pilot projects on city infrastructure. That's worth an estimated $5 to $10 million a year in applied R&D the city gets indirectly.
So to pull this all together, Montreal has really moved past just being a place where AI is researched.
It's becoming a resilient city. Day-to-day management is becoming more surgical, more predictable, and just measurably more efficient because of this technology.
And for you, listening in as an investor or just a savvy resident, here's a final tip from the source material.
Keep an eye on which boroughs adopt these technologies the fastest. Right now, it's the Plateau, Saint Laurent, and downtown leading the pack.
That's an excellent indicator of future growth potential. A city that's managed intelligently is a good place to live, and it's a place where real estate holds its value.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to explore on your own. If better infrastructure really does stabilize property taxes in the long run, what kind of changes might that cause in the relationship between citizens and their city government when it comes to financial transparency and accountability? Something to think about until our next deep dive.